Hello, and once again, welcome to Quality Management. We're going to discuss quite a few different topics this week, and we're really going to start to talk about the origins of quality in general. So touching on some of the concepts associated with quality assurance, quality control, and quality improvement or quality management. Kind of looking at how all of those things were derived, where were their points of origin, and kind of where are we at today as a field, as a profession. So how do these ideas tie into medical imaging and radiation therapy kind of in general. We'll touch on some of the medical legal aspects, and then we'll also highlight some of the concepts associated with process improvement. So quite a few varied topics that we'll be discussing here in this introductory chapter, but you're going to have a lot to kind of glean from this information. So my suggestion to you is watch the video and then read the chapter, or vice versa. So read the chapter and then watch the video. You'll kind of find what process works for you. But either way, as you're kind of going through the video, I want you to take notes, underline things. There'll be some points of emphasis that I kind of highlight as I go through the lecture as well. So let's get started. As far as some of the introductory content, how it kind of relates is that this class, yes, is going to relate to foundational concepts associated with projectional radiography, associated with fluoroscopy and mammography. But these first couple chapters, I really want to emphasize that this applies to medical imaging in general, but really any field within healthcare. Quality improvement is such a hot topic right now that these are skills that are important for you to be able to gain, important for you to be able to document on your resumes going forward. So I really want you to put a lot of focus into this class, a lot of effort into this class, because these are things that you should be presenting to your employers at the end of this course experience and say, hey, this is what I can do now. I've learned to apply these quality improvement tools. Give me some more opportunities kind of going forward and see where this kind of can take you. So there's a lot of opportunities that can be had within quality management. I've said in my introductory video, and I truly believe this, that there is a great need for quality managers. The need isn't there necessarily in terms of pure employment opportunities, but the need definitely exists as that middleman, that liaison between the medical physics group or team and the radiology manager. There's such an emphasis today in healthcare on quality. And however you look at quality, whether you're looking at it in terms of image quality, if we're looking at it in terms of the quality of care that we're delivering to patients, whatever it is, whatever outcome metric you're looking at or statistic you're looking at in terms of improvement, there's a lot in medical imaging. It could be in regards to turnaround time. It could be in regards to patient falls, any type of sentinel event that may occur within your facility. Lots of things to look at, and I want you to start to brainstorm, where are the issues in your facilities? If you have statistics that already tell you where those issues are, that's even better, because that's going to be the information that you need as a quality management professional to say, all right, here's the hard data that tells me that this is an issue. Let's now approach it. So in terms of general objectives for today, a lot of foundational concepts. We'll talk about the need in the field. We'll discuss a little bit about some of the differences in terminologies as well. So quality improvement definitely matters. It matters for multiple reasons, and it's because as technologists or as therapists, we don't perform every step within a given process. There are people that help us out, whether that's at the beginning or at the end. But just think about the dynamic changes that happen within medical imaging. Of course, we're not interpreting our results. The radiologist is interpreting those results. So there's more players than just ourselves. There's more disciplines than just ourselves. But when we look at it just in terms of our department, think about all of the sources of variability that can result in suboptimal image quality, or patient safety concerns, or patient satisfaction concerns. Lots can happen kind of as a result of our actions, and it may not just be in regards to a repeat radiograph or a repeat procedure, repeat CT scan, repeat any type of exam. It may go beyond that, in that our actions may impact the way that our customers perceive us. And how our customers perceive us will determine how they rate our quality. and whether that's what we refer to that as perceived quality. They rate us, maybe we're slow and they're not getting that personal attention, so they're not feeling like they're as connected. Then think about how that results in revenue changes. So all of these quality-based issues matter. So whether we're talking about quality concerns in regards to our patients or talking about quality concerns in regards to specific technical aspects of whether that's image production or image processing factors or image output factors, there's all kinds of different things that can cause variables. But now let's take a step back, think about what matters, and now think about how we can minimize those variables. Of course, you should know that HCAP surveys are really important right now. Patient satisfaction surveys are really important. So, kind of some of that information that's out there, whether it's equipment-based, technologist competency-based, processing, viewing-based conditions, they all matter. So there's a giant need for that reason for quality management professionals in the department that's going to take some onus over some of the responsibilities that may be falling through the cracks, that just simply as a field can no longer fall through the cracks for a variety of reasons. It may be revenue related, it may be accreditation based, or it may just be for patient betterment and to improve the safety of your given department. So lots of cool stuff going forward that you'll learn about, and hopefully you understand now why it matters a little bit. That way we can kind of grow as a department, and you can grow as leaders to be able to create active change within your facilities. If something is happening and that something bothers you, let's go ahead and fix it. Okay. So there's a variety of different things that can influence that patient experience. As quality managers, our job is to essentially control and limit as many variables as possible. We can manage certain things: radiation dose, patient care factors, diagnosis time, department transportation rates, image evaluation types of criteria in order to capitalize our action. But our quality can be interpreted or expressed in three very vastly different ways. That's expected quality, perceived quality, and actual quality. So they are very, very different. So expected quality is truly based on our customers. It's what our patients are expecting out of us. We have the absolute least control over this because the expected quality is going to differ from patient to patient, from person to person, from family member to family member. So it's just really something that we can't influence as much, but we have to have produce as good of an experience for that patient as possible, because that's going to then channel through word of mouth, and patients' past experiences are going to allow them to say, this is the type of quality that I expect because I've already received this, or this is what my reputation tells me, so this is kind of what I expect. Perceived quality is more about how the patient thinks, all right, this is a great place because they were so nice to me. This is the nicest area. I had the greatest technologists, in the world, kind of caring for me. It's all about you creating that experience for that patient. So this is all about you as a professional creating that warm and caring environment, showing that you're an imaging expert, and that you're providing service in a specific set amount of time. You're keeping the patient informed. It requires you as a technologist to be mature, welcoming, placing that patient needs before your own. Ultimately, perceived quality is what is going to bring that patient back to us. This is in the business world of things, which, medical imaging and healthcare, it's a business. It's kind of sad to say it like that, but when we provide great quality, that's going to reap rewards in turn of return on investment. The money is going to come back. So kind of that perceived quality can also be influenced by a reputation. Just think in general. If you're going to go to a 5-star restaurant, you're going to perceive that food is going to be better than your local McDonald's. At least that would be the hope. That would be the expectation. Patients have those same expectations over certain facilities for one reason or another. So sometimes a department has to work back and improve its perceived quality But you never want to essentially create that experience where it's not perceived like you're doing a great job. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how you want to look at it, but perceived quality is almost more important than our third point, actual quality. So this is truly based on statistics. It's based on patient outcomes. It's based on, how does our radiograph or how does our MRI actually impact patient outcomes? What is it actually doing for that patient? The field in general, we don't do a great job at evaluating actual quality statistics. There's a bigger push right now to have more outcome metrics being analyzed, and those are some things that I foresee in the quality management technologist's role as being things that are going to be amplified, working with the radiologist to assess timeliness of reporting and actual quality of, how well is this person interpreting this? Should we be utilizing more CAD readers as second readers to make sure that we are doing the best job possible? We use CAD, computer-aided detection softwares for certain things. We do. Mammography, for example, really great as a second reader. But should we be utilizing those for all kinds of different things? Probably as we proceed forward, the answer is going to be yes. But we just need to continue to evaluate what we're doing through hard statistics. That way we can actually measure and understand, what is the actual objective impact, and allowing us to compare ourselves to other players within the healthcare facility or other departments that utilize imaging services. So if you ultimately, the collection of these is really going to determine, kind of how your department runs, but you can't just deliver excellent actual quality. You can't, that's not going to be what brings those patients back. So it's a combination of factors. So the QM technologist is charged with evaluating a lot of forms of quality. So if you notice some areas that you would like to improve, make sure you're making those. Understand that you have the ability to set some tone, to make some change. So let's go ahead and move forward with your employers and start to make some of this active change kind of going forward. Healthcare in general is evolving for a variety of different reasons. Your textbook emphasizes some of these reasons. I want you to dig at kind of some of those points that the textbook emphasizes. I very much agree with a lot of these points. I have some publications out there to kind of emphasize that we as a field, we need to be improving as our technology is improving. I think at times our workforce is a little bit too static, in that we're not, evolving dynamically like our equipment is evolving dynamically. Lots of changes, and we as a field need to evolve because of these changes. So, that's you, the QM technologist, that allows those changes to take place. Others are things that we have to do for regulatory purposes, governmental actions, laws, accreditation purposes. In order to even secure those reimbursements, we have to be able to perform certain quality outcomes. So some things are because we should do them, other things are because we have to do them. But ultimately, quality management is essential, and it does have a certain cost to it. That cost in general is just the cost of time. Who is going to be responsible for doing it? Who's going to do this testing? And kind of another area is that if you have a contracted medical physics group, maybe that medical physics group is great and they're doing everything that they need to do to meet requirements for accreditation or requirements for your state law in terms of your testing. Maybe they're minimalists though, and they're that's all they do. They don't go above and beyond. They're not improving, and that's not what quality management is all about. That's what quality control is all about. So it's more, it's a lot of dedication, it's a lot of time in order to make sure that we're properly impacting satisfaction rates. We're maximizing our department efficiency, we're minimizing our equipment downtime, we're maximizing our throughput. But there's other costs that are associated with that. Cost of quality is one that's indicated here, and that's by definition, how much does it cost to not do things right the first time? There's a cost associated with that, and there's a bigger cost if it leads to a radiation-induced injury or some type of death because of an equipment malfunction, for an example, or Maybe you're not inspecting, that equipment, and something really catastrophically goes wrong. Truly unfortunate stuff, but that's why quality management procedures are in place to make sure that these things are minimized and these things do not happen. So, there's definitely some reasons for it. Healthcare in general is a changing field. It's going to continue to change. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you're kind of understanding why the field is changing, and then how you kind of are a player in some of this change as well. Some of the original players, some of the original influencers are kind of listed here. It really started with Florence Nightingale in the 1860s, utilizing systematic approaches to analyze mortality rates. Why are individuals dying? What are they dying for? At what rate are they dying? That type of thing. Codman kind of took it a step further in the early 1900s, 1910, to track patients and track their treatments. What treatments are actually working, and if they're not working, why not? So that he set up a process to essentially learn and grow and change from patient to patient to make sure that those outcomes are changing. So really an important player kind of in the game. He was a medical doctor, and really kind of looked at what's working and what's not working. The earliest person that really truly utilized a scientific approach, though, was Frederick Winslow Taylor. He is considered the father of modern scientific management. He's a name that I definitely want you to know, along with Deming and Duran. So when I say who's the father of scientific management, make sure you say that that's Frederick Winslow Taylor. So what he ended up doing is he essentially started to separate phases. I look at it as really kind of the assembly line based approach in order to minimize complexity of tasks. If you give one person this task, that person is going to do a great job at it. They're going to be an expert at that task. Subsequently, if you can take those tasks and you can minimize the complexity, you're going to be able to maximize your efficiency. There's going to be fewer mistakes that are going to happen. So when you separate those tasks, and then you subsequently separate the planning phases from the delivery and execution phases, you're going to be able to make sure that fewer mistakes happen. Additionally, when you assign quality control procedures to specific persons, you're going to be able to influence change. Taylor's methods were applied in radiology really until about the 1980s. And then his methods kind of started to be replaced by some of the methods of Deming and Duran, in that they became more emphasized on, instead of just checking things, to check things and then improve upon them. We just refer to that as quality improvement. So you're combining kind of some of those quality control based procedures. Really, the quality improvement is about processes and not about people, and it solicits input from all users of the process. So it really looks at things globally. It's not just about one person's perspective about what's going on, but it's all persons at all phases in the ball game are being looked at and investigated. So pretty important stuff. Deming and Duran kind of set forward. Their general motives were to save money, increase efficiency, increase quality of care, and really subsequently now the Joint Commission does require all radiology programs to have extensive quality management based programs, and really a lot of it is based on some of the philosophies that were set forward by Deming and Duran. So those are the big players to know. Again, the most important ones are Taylor as the father, and then Deming and Duran as kind of the evolvers of that quality improvement based process. In terms of looking at some terms, to differentiate between some terms and to start to not use these terms interchangeably any longer in your departments, I want you to start to think about quality assurance as being a people-based term. Meaning that it all has to do with what's influencing patient care based things. So if there are people involved, if there's human factors, it has to apply to quality assurance. So it's a means of systematically collecting information and evaluating that data. It doesn't deal with improvement. It makes sure that you maintain a certain level of quality. So it does focus on human factors that can lead to variation within the level of quality. So anytime you think about quality assurance, think about what are people doing that are impacting the type of quality that's being delivered. Quality control subsequently is equipment based. So this it all has to do with, how is your piece of equipment performing? Whether we're talking about, your sonography transducers, we're talking about your MRI scans or coils, we're talking about your power injectors and CT, whatever we're actually talking about, we're talking about some type of physical instrument and making sure that we're monitoring those instruments, we're looking at radiation outputs. So it all has to do with equipment in general. There are different levels of quality control as well. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. As a QM tech, you are eligible to do Level 1 and Level 2 things. So these are non-invasive tests, meaning you're not allowed to take apart things, but you're allowed to evaluate things without taking them apart. So Level 1 is really, basic things, looking at timer-based accuracies. Level 2 is a little bit more complex, looking at more serious things, radiation outputs, KVP accuracies, mass accuracies. Level 3 should be done by a medical physicist, and it really has to do with acceptance testing, so making sure that any new piece of equipment is tested before it's ever used on a person. Every time that there's a repair done on a piece of equipment, making sure that quality control is performed, making sure it's up to the levels that you would expect it to be, and it's in a line with where it was before. Any error correction testing or any routine performance evaluations, so at those specific intervals, whether we're talking about 6 months or whether we're talking about a year, all of those things should be done by a medical physicist. But nonetheless, the QM tech can do some QC-based procedures. So we've talked about QA dealing with people, we've talked about QC dealing with equipment, and now to take it a step further, we're going to talk about continuous quality improvement, which may also be called total quality management. So CQI and TQM are interchangeable based terms. It's a completely different philosophy. It's not focused on people or equipment, but it's focused on the process. How are things happening? So in order to understand that process, all persons need to have some input. So it's just a different way of looking at it. It doesn't put the responsibility on the individuals themselves, but it's a bigger picture evaluation of how things are performing as a whole, and then looking at those individual pieces. So it looks at objective data to make decisions, and just involves everyone within that process. So the end result is going to be, influencing departmental goals, but you have to get people's buy-in for this. But this process is largely based on the ideas and philosophies that Deming and Durand kind of put forward. So for healthcare, the focus should always remain, though, on improving patient care, patient safety, and patient-based outcomes. Of course, with our field, with the ionizing fields, there are safety concerns. There are safety concerns with MRI safety as well. So, it's not just always about the patient. It is about the field in general, but continuous quality improvement should be at the forefront of every department's radiology department. It should be a standing agenda topic that you talk about. And it's just something that really you should have standing committees that really just focus on continuous quality improvement. So in a nutshell, those are the concepts that I really wanted to address out the gate, kind of get you some terminologies, kind of get you some understanding of why QM exists and the importance of it, and kind of get you thinking about how you can contribute to real change, real active change within your departments. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know about some of this introductory content. Hopefully you've enjoyed this initial lecture. I always try to keep my lectures beneath 30 minutes in terms of segments. There may be multiple lectures within each chapter, but hopefully I can keep your attention at least for 30 minutes. So have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.